I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations, and I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, here we are, episode 108 of WhysAdvice, and we are just going to continue answering whatever you send in, whatever's on your mind. If it comes in, I'll read it. I'll kind of give you kind of my input. We'll roll through. I like hanging out with you a little bit before the show on Facebook and Instagram. That seems to be working really well. So around 10 o'clock most nights. As you know, this is a daily show. I record this thing daily, except for the days that I don't. And I try and do it around 10 p.m. So that's kind of a guide. Around 10 p.m. most nights, you'll kind of catch me doing a live show, hanging out with you a little bit before the show, just enough to say hi, get a feel for the room, get the energy going, and then we roll right into the show. So here we are. Emily writes in, says, "Hi, FatDag. I figured I'd send you a message since you're such an inspiration and might actually be able to help. I successfully lost 30 to 35 pounds from November to April, but I fell off track and I've been out of the habit of tracking and eating well for about 2 months now. I was wondering if you have any suggestions for how to get back on track and keep it going. I always have such a hard time getting back when I fall into the old habits. Junk food is so horribly addicting. I know you probably get dozens of messages, so no pressure to reply. Hope you're having a great evening, Emily." Well, that message came in on Facebook just before the show, and every once in a while, one of these messages comes in. I say, yep, I have to move this to the front of the queue and get it out there. So, Emily, you lost 30 pounds. So you clearly, you know how to do this. You clearly have that ability to focus and dial it in. That is undisputable. So the thing I want to ask you is you lost 30 pounds. How did you do it? Right? So now you take that how and you take it one step further, because we know focusing solely on the how does not alone get it done. Why did you do it? What drove you to the meeting room? Why did you start this journey in the first place? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And why? It's important that we dig into that why, because that why is what keeps us at goal long before we give up on figuring out how to do it. The fact that you've lost 30 to 35 pounds from November to April shows me that you had the ability during that timeline to stay incredibly focused. You did that. You got it done, and then you probably hit what we call the complacency trap. Episode 72 seems to be the one that most people resonate with when we talk about complacency. But I'll kind of summarize it here is complacency is when we get to a point where we start to feel good. We start to feel better, and we slowly forget all the miserable things in our life that we hated about it because we feel so much better. 35 pounds is significant. It's clearly visible to you. It's clearly visible to anybody who knows you. Clothing sizes change at that point, so you feel a sense of accomplishment. But you easily can dip back into your old habits if you haven't solved them, because you haven't continued to solve what your why was. Now, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to FatDag.com. I want you to click on book list. I want you to grab a book called The End of Overeating. It's an amazing book, and I read it a little while ago, so I'm going to have to refresh my memory and probably read it again. But there's a book called The End of Overeating, and it talks about the sugar addiction for one. And what happens is the food industry, as much as they do so well to nourish us and keep our bodies healthy, their primary job is to sell food, right? That's their primary. The reason they're in business is to sell food. And they know that in order to sell food, you have to make it, first of all, you got to make the package look really pretty, right? But then you really have to make it addictive. You got to add some sugar. We know sugar is addicting. They have to add more sugar in there and balance the taste. Nutrition is probably the last thing they're concerned about when it comes to making food. If they can get you hooked on it, then they want at that point you to continue to come in and say, yeah, I want more of that. I have to have more of it. I have to have more of it. This book examines that. And it goes in deeper. And once I realized that it was a game, it was me against the food industry, I decided to look at what I was eating a little differently. And I said, yeah, I want to go ahead and eat a little better because I want to win this battle for long term. Now, certainly there's plenty of people in the food industry doing amazing work and providing the nutrition and nourishment that we need. You have to find out who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. Along your journey, food has two purposes. One of them is going to fuel you and fuel your dreams and goals. The other is going to work against it. Make the choice which one you want and move forward. Now, you can have whatever you want on this plan. What I want you to want is a healthy, happy life. And you can have that by making the right choices. So, Emily, thank you for your note on Facebook. We'll keep me up to speed as to what's going on. When you get back in it, let me know. Marilyn at Burnsville, Minnesota writes in and says, thank you. You have made a difference in my journey. My husband even jokes if he should be worried about this FatDag guy because I talk about your wise advice often. I began this new start date in April of 2013. I quickly lost 25 pounds, but because I was closer to goal, my weight loss slowed down. At least that's what I told myself. And many others echoed that thought. And while there is some truth to that, it's also me and others enabling myself not to stay focused. I spent 3 years paying to yo-yo around the 150-pound mark. I did make it to the top of my healthy BMI, 141, and I stayed there for a New York minute back in May of 2016. I did make Lifetime, but was quickly a paying Lifetime member. I finally went to my doctor, and I got her to agree that maintaining my weight loss for 3 years was acceptable, and she wrote a note for a higher goal of 150 pounds. It will probably not come as a surprise to you that soon that goal was slipping away too. Then my friend Sue, who weighs me in almost every week, told me I needed to listen to the WhysAdvice podcast. I'm so glad she did. It has completely changed my journey. Attendance goals, not performance goals, got me to start tracking again. I got a 30-day tracking badge on the app. It wasn't pretty, but I did it. Now I get more blue dots than not, and the best part is now I can go to meetings not stressing about my weigh-in. That is an amazing feeling. When you work the program really does work. Because of you, I am no longer letting myself or anyone else tell me 150 pounds is good enough. With the focus you have helped me find, I now know that I can make it back to a healthy BMI and stay there. Your service and dedication to our country is admirable, but I value much more personally the commitment, sacrifice, and wisdom you share with so many daily, except for on the days when you don't. You, Mike, have made a difference to me and so many others in our weight loss journey, and for that, I will be forever grateful. I wish you continued good focus and a perfect score on your PT test in October. Are you training like you need to? Marilyn. Marilyn, I'll answer your last question first. No, I'm not. Complacency for me sets in the running game. I'm still very much active. I'm still very much working out, but I just can't push myself to get much faster on the timeline. But because of your email, I will recommit to doing that, and I will go for a run tomorrow, and I will post that on Facebook so you know that I'm in it. So thank you for that reminder. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about this. Your husband's obviously starting to figure out that you're talking about this FatDag guy a little too much. That's a good thing. Does he need to be worried? He absolutely needs to be worried. He needs to be worried because when you get to your goal weight, and I'm talking about your true goal weight, when you get to that goal weight where you step on the scale and you love every single thing about you, when you get there, you're going to have more energy than you've ever had. You're going to have more confidence than you've ever had. You're going to be a completely new person. And that guy better keep up. He better be ready for this because you are on fire and getting it done. Now, you quickly lost 25 pounds, and I love what you corrected yourself because you said as you got closer to goal, your weight slowed down, and then you corrected yourself and said, well, at least that's what you told yourself. A lot of us believe that to be true, that when you get closer to your goal weight, your weight loss slows down. And you're right, there is probably some thread of truth to that. But if you go to my website, you go to fatdag.com, click on my weight loss graph, you can see every one of my weigh-ins the entire time I was losing weight. I want you to look at the very last two. I want you to look at the two weigh-ins just before I hit goal. And then I want you to tell me my weight loss slowed down. I believed early on that that was going to happen to me because everybody told me the closer you get to goal, your weight loss slows down. If you look at my numbers, you'll know that's not true, but I wonder why it says that. And what happens is that complacency trap sets in. And as we get closer to goal, our portion sizes slowly creep up. Our complacency makes us, a little less not able to track. And we just we're happy with ourselves. So the weight loss part doesn't slow down. It's we usually slow down. We aren't tracking the same way we did when we started the journey. And that's what slows the down, not the fact that you're closer to goal. If you have weight to lose, your body will lose it at the same rate, provided that you're following the plan consistently. Obviously, and the rate's going to go up and down within reason, but that's kind of the general consensus there. Now, you went to your doctor, you got her to agree that maintaining your weight loss for 3 years was acceptable, and she wrote a doctor's note for you to settle in at 150 pounds. Yeah, I get that. So what happens in that stage, if when you get to goal, and a doctor's note goal is absolutely acceptable on this plan. There's no question it's acceptable because everybody's shape is different in size, but only you know if that is acceptable to your journey. If we have to convince a doctor to sign us a note in that range, then that means a couple things. One, your doctor isn't fully on board with it, but you convince them, and they have to balance that, do I lose a patient? Do I help a patient? Does it really matter? My doctor told me that I've regained 90% of any health benefit that I lost by losing most of the weight that I had lost. The last 10, 15 pounds ended up being just for vanity, had no real significant health benefit. But at the same point, he was unwilling to sign off on a note. He said, just keep working the program. Live healthy. You can get there. So, but if you step on the scale and you hit a doctor's note goal, and in the back of your mind that you can do more, that you can do better, that you still aren't completely happy with yourself, well, then you've never solidified in that true feeling that I talked about of stepping on the scale for the very last time, not wanting to lose weight. You have to hit that point, whatever that number is. You've got to hit that point where you truly 100% hop on the scale and go, I don't want to lose another pound. When you get there, that feeling is unlike any feeling you've ever had, and that is a feeling you're not going to give up. It's easy to give up a feeling of, I look better, and I've lost a little bit of weight, because you can't cement in that defining moment. When you cement that in, it's very hard to give it away. Now, attendance goals versus performance goals, I love setting an attendance goal. There is no point doing a Navy SEAL kickboxing cardio workout if you can only do it once a year. I'd rather you walk 5 feet and do it daily than to take one yoga class that leaves you sore for months. Because every single day, if you do something, your mind is engaged in the fact that I'm doing something, and it takes the stress out of the scale, it takes the stress out of the entire program, because you get your mind in a set of, I'm a healthy, fit person doing some sort of activity. Now, life is stressful enough. We don't need to add stress at the scale on top of it. So you're doing fantastic work. The last thing I'll tell you is the last 10 pounds in your journey is absolutely the best part of the journey. My weight loss from 263 down to about 190, 195, at that point in my journey was amazing. The last 10, 15, 20 pounds or so was completely life-changing for me. So, Marilyn, thank you for your email. Keep up the amazing work. You can do this. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Barbara writes in and says, Hi, Mike. I'm doing the plan, and I've almost reached my 5% goal. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I've fallen off the plan so many times in the past that I was almost afraid to try again. After listening to you talk about finding your why and then losing weight, I realized that I was always focused on someone else. My husband, my kids, my sister, my friends. This time, my focus is on me, and I'm finding that sweet spot of doing more for me and not being selfish to others. However, is my focus, it's not my why. My why is something entirely different, even though it certainly does include those that I love. I always listen to your podcast, and I'm very grateful for what you share. Thank you for being my wingman, Barbara. Well, Barbara, 5% is hard work. The hardest part of this journey probably is getting to that 5% goal. And so you're clearly making progress towards that. So you're doing amazing work. I want you to stop with the mindset of when you say, I know it doesn't sound like much. The fact that you walk into the meeting room, that takes more strength than anything else. The fact that you recommitted to yourself, that is where all the strength comes from. So it does sound like a lot to me. It sounds like an amazing accomplishment, that the fact that you said, I want to do something different because I want different results. I want you to stop right there with that mindset. I want you to celebrate that first. Understanding that your 5% is hard work, we get that. But you can get there. If you've lost a single pound or two on this journey, what that confirms is that you understand enough about the program to at least have success for a week. Right? If you can have success for a week, you can then piece the weeks together, and then you can have more good weeks than you have bad weeks, and then you get to your 5%. 5% is that first proof that you can struggle and persevere and hit a goal. You don't have to be perfect to get to your 5%. You have to just not give up. So the fact that you've lost 1 to 2 pounds, easy enough. Boom, you do that, you continue that, you get to 5%. If you hit 5%, you can hit 10%. If you hit 10%, you can get to goal. Tap into your why. Why did you walk in? Why do you want to do this? Why did you join? What is it in your life that's missing? What is it in your life that you say, I wish this, I want this? What I would like is, write it down. Go grab a pen, grab a paper, and physically write it down, because there's something about that creative process. When you physically write it down, it takes a little longer than it does to type it. There's a little less distractions. You're not getting text messages bopping in as you're trying to type it out on your phone. As you write it down, sitting by yourself, I don't want you to share it with anybody, but I want you to dig into your brain deep, figure out why you're doing it, and then every time you feel like you can't do it, you read that note back to yourself, and you say, no, I can do it, and here's why. And not only can I will do it. Barbara, you can do this. I believe you can do this, Barbara. Thousands of people on Connect believe you can do this. Let's go do it together. Kim writes in and says, hi, FatDag, this is Kim. I raised the issue on Facebook Live of whether you have ever done a podcast on recognizing your kryptonite. After focusing on the why, as you strongly recommended, I realized that my why is to reduce the inflammation in my body. As we know, obesity increases inflammation. In addition, I have chronic Lyme disease that causes inflammation, and histamine intolerance, which is worsened by inflammation. If I can reduce the inflammation, my numerous food sensitivities may improve, and I may have more energy. I am very tired, and I can only do limited activity. My food sensitivities are insane. No fruit, nothing fermented, such as alcohol, vinegars, pickles, olives, no leftovers, no onions, shallots, chives, no corn, no yeast, very little dairy, no milk, hard cheese, cheeses with a lot of mold, such as blue cheese, no slow-cooked meats or meat broths, no processed meat, no bacon, ham, sausage, lunch meat, nothing grilled over charcoal or wood chips. I'm allergic to wood smoked cellulose, which is wood pulp. Plus, many spices are out, such as cinnamon, cloves, and allspice. The list goes on and on. I have to eat clean. No artificial sweeteners or flavors or preservatives or other chemicals or more man-made creations. So how did I get to my top weight of 291 pounds if I couldn't eat the above listed foods? Sugar, sugar, and more sugar. The irony is that while several slices of cantaloupe or watermelon can send me into anaphylaxis, I can't stop the reaction with if I can't stop the reaction with Benadryl, those Reese's peanut butter cups cause only a mild reaction that I can live with. Likewise, while I can't tolerate milk, it goes down just fine in the form of ice cream. Plus, with all the food limitations, I am constantly looking for a variety, and sugar satisfied that need, but sugar is killing me. I turned to Weight Watchers in January 2016 out of desperation to try to put some structure in my life. I've half-assed my way through the plan for about 18 months and I've lost only 30 pounds. First trying to dabble in sugar, then removing sugar, then breaking down and adding it back in, then abandoning the plan altogether. While this was going on, I kept track of the foods on Connect to keep and try to inspire me. Everything finally clicked when I started to listen to your podcast. At 58, with major health issues, I don't have time to half-ass this plan. I need to lose this weight as quickly as possible in a responsible and healthy manner for the right reasons. So I need to focus and put my all into this. I also need to eat the way that I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. I then started thinking about what I needed to do to be successful and what has stopped me from being successful in the past, which I then call my kryptonite. I identified 3 kryptonites. The first is sugar. I can't dabble in sugar because I'm addicted to it and I can't stop at 1 peanut butter cup or half a cup of ice cream. I have to keep it out of my life completely. I have no craving for sugar when I'm away from it for a week. My second kryptonite is food preparation. As one would expect from the above list of foods, I don't or can't eat out. My idea of fast food is getting pre-washed lettuce from the Whole Foods salad bar, so I just need to commit to cooking or assembling food, which isn't much fun because of all the limitations. However, I have committed to having the foods in the house that I can quickly assemble and cook and forcing myself to do the work. Regardless of how tired I am, I have now started to listening to your podcast to easily pass the time. My third kryptonite is a messy kitchen. I don't have the energy or desire to cook if my kitchen is messy with unwashed dishes, pots and pans, and clutter. So I'm trying to do a better job of keeping the workspace cleared. This is a major step for me because it has been a problem my entire adult life. I rededicated myself to the plan and managing the kryptonites on June 28th. Since then, I have stayed on the plan every day. I've made nourishing, flavorful, and interesting food, and I kept my kitchen in a reasonable order. As you say, I can't control the scale, but I can control my behavior. I have a laser focus on my why and a firm grasp on my kryptonites. I encourage others to closely examine what is preventing their success and put a plan into place that addresses those issues. Thank you for your podcast and all that you do to help others. You are changing so many lives. Kim. Kim, you have a firm handle on your journey. That part to me is very clear and evident. You really do understand where you are in this journey. You understand your traps. You understand your ability to navigate the sugar addiction. So the fact that you're fully engaged mindfully tells me that you have the ability to do this and you have the focus that's required to do it. A couple things stand out at me. Is you say that sugar is killing you, and I agree. Sugar, it's interesting to me how with your long list of foods that you can't eat, how sugar doesn't have that same reaction. And I have absolutely no training in this area, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. And so take this with a grain of salt. But what I want you to do is if you're mixing all the foods that you can have and you're having some sugar in there with it, there's a good chance that maybe once you get clean, some of the foods that you think are truly off limits may become a little more tolerable if you're not mixing them in at the same time with some of the other stuff you're eating. Now, it certainly requires you to talk with a nutritionist and someone who actually knows what they're talking about, but it's something to kind of strive for. You can't have that conversation if you continue to have sugar mixed in with everything else you're trying. So the first piece you got to do is understand that getting off the sugar addiction is certainly going to be your best bet, and it sounds like you've recognized it. The big part of your email that I want to address is the fact that you say, I need to lose this weight as quickly as possible in a responsible and healthy manner. And I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. And what I want to tell you is that you actually can't lose weight. Now, you can't lose weight. It's not something I can't sit here right now and say, hey, I want to lose weight, and it's gone. I can't lose weight either. And anyone listening, you can't lose weight. What you can do is you can eat healthy. You can work out a little more. You can be mindful about the choices. You can control the quantity of food and of the food that you eat. And if you do those things, your body will lose the weight. Your body will react to what you do to it, and it'll shed what is not necessary. So I don't want you thinking you have the ability to lose weight, because you don't have the ability to lose weight. You have the ability to take care of your body. Your body then responds accordingly, and that's where I want you to focus. If you set that focus on it, you look at all the things that you can eat and you figure out a way that you can eat them and you work them into the plan allows you to have every single thing, has a point value. So the plan allows you to eat. As long as the doctor doesn't say you can no longer eat, then you can follow the plan and work the plan. I would encourage you to bring the plan to your doc and to your nutritionist, and the three of you sit down and formulate a plan. I think that's going to be your best bet. I completely agree with you in the sense that, with my sugar addiction, I understand the first bite for me is the easiest to resist. Once I take that first bite, it's the second and third bite are almost automatic. I know that about my plan. I know that about me. So I do a really good job of resisting the first bite. And I know that the second and third are going to make it more difficult. And so that's just how I limit it, is by knowing that. So Kim, continue to do the amazing work that you're doing. With all the challenges you have going on, you're still focused on your health. And that is a complete cause for celebration and victory. Gigi writes in, says, "Hi, Mike. With 7.5 weeks to my niece's wedding, I have less than 20 pounds to lose to my original goal. However, thanks to your podcast, I'm on actually episode 48, I decided to wait until I'm in the 140s to decide my goal weight. So therefore, my current goal weight is 140s by September 7th. Following my vacation last week, I'm committed to doing my best with good focus. I'll be okay if I miss it, but it won't be because I did not try. In the picture that I attached, I'm wearing my mother's engagement ring for the first time since I'm at my weight where it fits. She passed away when I was 20 years old, which was 34 years ago. My father willed it to my daughter upon his death in 2007. Tomorrow, I will send it off to a jeweler to be resized, and it will be given to my daughter's boyfriend. I smiled a lot today because thanks to Weight Watchers, Beck's Diet Solution, and your daily dose of focus, buying a dress as the mother of the bride in the near future or next year is not one of my concerns. Thanks for all that you do, Gigi2011. What a cool story. So here you've had this ring for forever and you're finally able to wear it. What a complete honor that has to be able to wear it. And the fact that that family heirloom is being passed down and you can actually say you wore it at a time when it fit, that's amazing. I want you to focus exactly what you said. I want you to not set a goal weight. I want you to set a goal feeling. I want you to hop on the scale and say, yeah, I'm done. I want you to say, I look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm done losing weight. I just need to maintain this. If that's 140, it's 140. If it's 130, it's 130. You won't know until you get there. But when you get there, you absolutely will know. I always caution people when they set a certain pound by a certain date to not be disappointed. If you remember, part of my journey is I set a goal of being down, I forget the number now because it's been a while, but somewhere along the lines, I wanted to be down 60, 70 pounds by a certain date, and I missed it by a couple pounds. And I remember that morning being disappointed that I was down 60-some pounds, and I missed this target goal. Think of what it does to your mind when you're disappointed with a 60, 70-pound weight loss, right? So I quickly was able to refocus and continued to persevere, hit to a 91-pound weight loss, and got it done. So that's exactly what I would caution you on. Is I want you to say, you know what, you can do this. And so if you focus on living healthy for the rest of your life, you'll get it done. And you're right, it's not going to be because you didn't try. It's because I just want you to stay focused and get it done. Now, the coolest part of your story is shopping for a dress. Although I've never done it, I can understand the excitement of shopping for clothes. I love clothes shopping, and the fact that when you walk in and you truly have the ability to pick up anything on the rack and put it on, that's life-changing. So shopping for a dress for a significant event such as Mother of the Bride, that too is going to be an incredible feeling for you. That wedding, for a lot of reasons, is going to be so magical and beautiful because more than anything, you're going to love every single photo that you're in. You're going to love the moment, and the moment can be on your daughter where it belongs, and you can enjoy the event with your family. That is why we celebrate. That's why we do this plan. That's why we wake up every morning staying focused and disciplined, saying, you know what, today I want to do this. Sure, there's temptations. Sure, there's kryptonites along the way. Sure, there are things that distract us. But if you stay focused to what you're doing, you can hit your goals. And when you hit your goals, we celebrate. And we celebrate on the air. I want you to send in those celebrations. Go to FatDag.com, click on Listen Now. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But I want you to email them in because I want you to be proud of what you're doing. When you send in your email, remember to just tell me where you're from, tell me where you're emailing in from, provide your username on Connect if you're on the plan, and we'll work that in as well. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus.